In today's video, I'm going to be going over the 3 main ways that I make money online self-publishing books through Amazon. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Dane, and on this channel I talk all about self-publishing books on Amazon, online entrepreneurship, and just lifestyle in general. So if that kind of thing interests you, make sure you subscribe, drop a like on the video, and hit the notification bell so you know when I post new videos. You already saw what I said in the beginning, but in this video, I'm gonna be going over the 3 main ways that I make money self-publishing books on Amazon, okay? And I'm also be going over a bonus one at the end, so make sure you stick till the end if you wanna hear about the bonus way that I make money through self-publishing books. But I don't wanna waste any time. I'm just gonna jump right into what these 3 ways are. I'm not gonna babble on about anything extra. Let's just dive right into the video. Okay, so we're in my computer here now, and as you can see on screen, I wanna make it very clear. These are in absolutely no particular order. I do make more money from 2 of the ways compared to 1, but the other 2 kind of fluctuate between months. Sometimes I make more with one publishing model. Sometimes I make more with the other one. It totally depends on the month and what is going on, okay? But anyways, just wanna make it clear. Not really in any particular order, okay? So let's dive into the first way that I make money, self-publishing books through Amazon. Okay, and number 1 is a term that I didn't make it up or anything. I just call them these because they're kind of in between the other 2 that I'm gonna be talking about later on in the video. But DIY style books are kind of in the middle, and let me explain a little bit more why, okay? And they are instructional type books with around 7,000 to 10,000 words, okay? And don't get me wrong, that's just a rough estimate. They can have more than that. But to give you the best idea, give you the best picture in your head, DIY style books have around 7,000 to 10,000 words each. And I'm gonna be giving you examples, so don't worry. And I'm not just gonna talk about them and not actually show you some examples of what these books look like. I'll be showing you in just a second, and I'll also be breaking down the pros to each model of publishing, way that I make money with publishing, and the cons to each, okay? So let's dive into the pros and cons for DIY style books. These are a happy medium between the other 2, okay? I'm talking about the other 2 in just a sec. And what I mean by happy medium, it's kind of a happy medium between cost and reward, okay? They cost less, and they also can get you a lot of return on your money when you publish them. And it just depends on when you publish these guys. They can trend and generate a lot of income in bursts, okay? And what I mean by trending is that during seasons or holidays, okay? For example, I could have a Christmas style DIY book trend during Christmas, okay? And it can generate a lot of income during that time in a strong burst. Another thing to mention, another pro, is that they're very beginner friendly, okay? And all 3 of the things I'm talking about in this video are beginner friendly, but I did want to put it in there because it is a pro to DIY style books. Very beginner friendly and a good way to generate startup cash. And finally, they take around 1 to 2 weeks to have made, which is very short for a book, okay? It's not very long to wait 1 to 2 weeks to get a book made and start making money from it, okay? The cons, there's a cost associated with making these. There are some books I'll be talking about in a second you can make for absolutely 0 cost, maybe a couple of startup costs, but once you get the startup costs out of the way, you can really make the other books I'm talking about for free. But with these guys, each one, it's going to cost you 0 to 250. And the reason why I say 0 there is because I still call these DIY books, which is do-it-yourself books, because you can do them yourself. But the thing to take away from it is that you can outsource it as well, which is going to speed up the process and put a little bit less stress on your shoulders. So I usually do outsource it, which ends up costing me around maybe $100 to $250 per book on these guys, okay? But I do want to put 0 there because you can do them yourself. Not really recommended, but if you like writing and you want to make a DIY style book, by all means, you can go ahead and do it for yourself, okay? Finally, they're seasonal, holiday-based. I kind of mentioned this already. So these kinds of books typically, not always, but for the most part, these kinds of books only do well during their specific seasons. So you could have like an Easter style one, you could have like a Thanksgiving one, Christmas one, back to school style one, okay? But those are all like seasons or holidays, not really seasons, but they're just holidays or special events that take advantage of these kinds of books. But once those events or special events are over, these kinds of books won't sell as well. So moving into some of the examples here, this is the first example. You can see a workout book. And like I said, these kinds of DIY style books are instructional based books. So this one's like 100 home workouts, all right? And typically speaking, DIY style books are listy style books. So this is a good example. It's 100 different workouts listed in that book. Another example would be meditation books, okay? Only has a few words, like not a few, but has way less words than a regular conventional book that has like 30,000 words or something like that. Because a meditation book is typically sold in an audiobook, and it has way less words, and it's just a good example of a DIY style book because it's way shorter to make, and you can still make just as much money off of it. And I want to mention the last two books I mentioned, meditation and the workout books, they tend to trend during the beginning of the year in like January when people are making goals, they're making their New Year's resolutions, and they're looking to get fit, or they're looking to meditate, be more mindful, whatever it may be. These kinds of books are probably doing well at this time of year right now because it's January when I'm filming this video. The last example I want to talk about are cookbooks, which are borderline. You can see at the top, they're kind of borderline between DIY style books and the last kind of book I'll be talking about, the third way of making money. But I do want to classify them as DIY style books because a shorter cookbook is definitely a DIY style book. And when it comes to these DIY style books, they have a lot more pictures in them. It's listy. Again, you're just listing out recipes. And this one has around 85 recipes, as you can see on the cover there. So it's a shorter style book, has a lot of pictures, a bit listy, and it tends to trend during the season of like holidays. So it'd be like Thanksgiving, in November, October, like Halloween, Christmas time. This kind of cookbook will do way better during that time than it will, say, right now and throughout the summer and stuff like that. So number 2 on this list, these are called low content books, and this is the second way that I make money, and this is probably the one I was talking about. I don't make as much as the other two, so DIY style books and the third one I'll be talking about. Low content books make up probably around 5% of my monthly income, but I want to include them here because it is definitely another way you can make money self-publishing books through Amazon, okay? And low content books are books with very little content that can be mass produced, okay? I'll be showing you examples in just a sec, but to give you a quick example before I start talking about it, think of like word search books, Sudoku books, just kind of gaming books, ones that don't have writing in them per se, but they have like activities for you to do and participate in. Okay, that's kind of a low content book. So let's move into what the pros and cons are for low content. These are usually not outsourced and created on your own. So like I was saying last time, these are the kinds of books that you can make for almost free. You do want to get some software in the beginning when you're starting out in order to make them. Once you pay those off, it's basically free to make these kinds of books, especially if you're making your own covers and stuff like that. It can take a few days to make, can take 1 day, can take 1 hour, can take 10 minutes. Some people are absolute pros at these, and once you do more and more, you get quicker and quicker at making them. And you can make a lot of these books in a short period of time. Okay, so that's definitely a pro when it comes to low content. Again, they're beginner friendly and good way to generate startup cash. Okay, similar to the way the DIY books are, these are almost free. So if you need to get some startup cash when it comes to publishing books, starting with low content is never a bad thing to do. You can get some startup cash, get some cash flow so you can invest in higher content books, get more startup cash for those guys and put them back into the business, reinvest and grow your business. So that's a good positive when it comes to low content. So from my experience and from what a lot of people will say is that you need a lot of these books in order to succeed, okay? So if you wanna make a publishing business based solely on low content, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult than if you were to go low content, DIY, and the third way of making money I'll talk about in a second, mix them all together. If you're just gonna stick with low content, it's gonna be kind of difficult because you gotta make a lot of these books in order for them to stick and actually make sales and make money. They're not traditionally the highest quality of books, okay? So if you're like someone who's meticulous and a perfectionist, kind of like myself, making these books, they don't have to be perfect and they're not gonna be super high quality because you're making so many of them. So it's not really my favorite thing to do. And eventually you can burn out because you gotta make so many of them. Every single week you're publishing more and more books. It's just like, man, I don't really want to publish that many books every single week. Some people love it, don't get me wrong, but personally, from my experience, I prefer to do maybe 1 or 2 books per month at most. So here's some examples of low content. The first one is this Learn to Write. So it's like a blank book with like blank pages, and it's for little kids to learn how to write on lines, okay? No content, low content. Should be beginning to make sense to you what they are now. Sudoku, like I said, there's a game in there, and you just write in the book. There's no like words or anything. Like, it might be a few words, but it's just Sudoku puzzles. But that is pretty much it for low content books. Another thing you do is like a word search book or just any kind of thing that's fill in the blank, log books. Those are other examples of low content. So the third and final way that I make money publishing books through Amazon is through a way called long form books, okay? And long form books are informational type books. Okay, remember I said instructional books for DIY style. When it comes to long form, they're more informational based books. Don't get me wrong, they can be instructional, but for the most part, from my experience and from what I publish, usually informational type books. And I'll give you some examples, of course, in just a second. And they have usually 25,000 or more words each. So the pros and cons of long form. Pros, they have high probability for long-term reward. These kinds of books tend to stick around for the long haul instead of just kind of having a couple good months and dying out like the DIY style ones. They also allow you to establish yourself and your brand. You can make an email list out of these guys, make an ecosystem out of these guys, as I talk about. I'm not going in depth on what that is right now, but if you think about what an Apple ecosystem is, they have a bunch of people in their ecosystem using all of their devices. So in this instance, they'd have like all of your books. They'd be on your email list. You send them emails, communicate with them. Long form books are the easiest to do that with. You can do it with DIY style books. It's kind of difficult. You can do it with low content. You can. Don't get me wrong. You still can. But when it comes to long form, I find it to be the most easy because your books are longer. You can connect with people more and you can get their emails and really build that kind of fan base. And finally, they're still beginner friendly. Okay, don't get me wrong. Even though they seem like the hardest one to make, they are, but they're still beginner friendly. And as a beginner, you can get right in there with them if you have the startup cash. Okay. The cons, they take a bit more work, but it's highly worth it in the end. Okay. I don't say don't do them. You have to get these guys in your portfolio eventually when you're publishing books. They do take a bit more work though. They do take a lot more time to have made, can take 1 to 2 months, depends on how it is. Obviously there's way more words, 25,000 or more words is going to take a lot longer to make. And finally, they cost a lot more to make. Okay. For a decent, not really great quality one, it's going to cost you around $500. For a good quality one, $800 to $1,000 plus, okay? And obviously we're going for quality here, so I recommend going in that range if you're gonna make a 25,000 word or more book and publish it on Amazon. Here's some examples. So like I said, informational type books. This is a self-help example. It's all about narcissism and dealing with a narcissist, and that's gonna be around, I think I checked it earlier, it's around 25 to 30,000 words. Another example is a book on rental property investing, so real estate investing, informational based book. Another long form book. And with these kind of books, it's usually got like a table of contents. It's a traditional style book. It's got like chapters in it, tons of words, some pictures here and there, not as many as a DIY style book. So yeah, that's what those long form books usually look like. Don't get me wrong, DIY style books can still have tables of contents with chapters and all that stuff, but they have lots more pictures and a lot more listy compared to these guys where it's informational, there's chapters, there's paragraphs, there's all that good stuff when it comes to making a book. And finally, like I said in the beginning, the bonus is audiobooks on screen here. You can make audio versions out of your books, okay? And typically these are gonna be your long form books, so those 25,000 to 30,000 or more word books. They can be DIY style books, definitely not gonna be low content style books, but if you're making an audiobook out of a long form book, that's always a good investment in my opinion. Audiobooks are sold through Audible, which is also Amazon's company. So it's an additional income stream you can add on to your self-published books that you publish through Amazon. So those are my 3 main ways that I make money self-publishing books through Amazon, plus the bonus at the end there, which is audiobooks. And if I had to break them all down, I'm gonna do some quick math here. Like I said, low content books, around 5% of my income. DIY style books, 50 to 60% of my income. Oh, we gotta do some math here. Long form books, around 30% to 40%. So it's always varying, it's always ranging. And then audiobooks like 10%. And yes, that was over 100%, but it always ranges per month. So change the numbers as you will to get them to 100%. But that's kind of my breakdown of my publishing portfolio and the 3 main ways, plus audiobooks that I make money through publishing. So if you want to learn more and get started with your publishing journey and start utilizing these 3 ways to make money, you can click the link down in the description. It's completely free. Go through that and it'll get you started on your publishing journey so you can start publishing books just the same way that I do and start making money online. That's it for today. If you liked the video, make sure you drop a like, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when I post new videos. My name is Dane. I try to post videos every single week based around self-publishing, online entrepreneurship, and just lifestyle in general. So yeah, if you like that kind of thing, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I post new videos. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.